This is the Patriot.
Hey, this is Skylar.
My name's the Devil's Rejects.
I'm the big-time wrestling heavyweight champion, Flex Armstrong.
I'm the Kennection.
Share.
Rusev Day every day.
It's Rusev Day every day.
Exactly.
And you're watching the Wrestling Connection.
And you're watching Wrestling Connection.
And watch the Wrestling Connection.
You're watching the Wrestling Connection.
I hear that women gain immortality from lifting the feet of babies.
What? Say.
Be connected, get connected, and stay connected, brothers.
Allison.
Hello, Allison, and welcome to the.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
Let's get the big, of course, with the official presentation. Thank you.
Get connected, be evil, or die.
Moving on.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
And welcome to episode 242 of the most must-see show to ever hit the Bedford TV airwaves, or any airwaves for that matter, north, south, east, west, backwards, frontwards, diagonally, sideways, any which way you look at it, all around the world, the Wrestling Connection. I am your host, your connection to the wrestling world, the pontiff of the pro wrestling populace, the Big Four pay-per-view champion, the man who wears glasses because his future is so bright, the perfect Ken, Mr. Ken Hill, delivering all the news to you in professional wrestling today. And alongside me, as always,
The consumer of wrestling knowledge, the price writer of the Wrestling Connection, the breaker of Kens, the dragon missing the gold. Dan Kaufman is here as well, legacy of Team Kaufman. And I have to use my shades for my cat because, congratulations, the resident female competitor for the Wrestling Connection, the Wonderbird Allison, has taken it.
the second lady of the wrestling
second
Connection,
lady.
of course, after Miss Julie.
Has claimed the belt at the first ever women's pay-per-view.
Very apropos, and it's because of that auspicious occasion. Now, even though there is a ruling that's been standing since the second year of the show, the rule stating that if someone who wins the championship showed up for neither the preview or review show of a pay-per-view, unfortunately has to forfeit said championship. However, like I said, because of the auspiciousness of the occasion, I am willing to waive the rule for this one time only.
Considering the fact that it came down to a three-way tie and it was done via match point. I mean,
It was a very close victory, very narrow victory for Allison. So I'm willing to give her benefit of the doubt here. But
she has been warned that if she is not here for Survivor Series,
pay per preview, she will forfeit the championship,
and it will be vacant for whoever takes it.
It'll be up for grabs at the next pay per preview view. But today it's not a preview; it's a.
No. Today's Friday.
Today's Friday,
Which we all know what that means.
Wait, wasn't it? Isn't it something that we're supposed to cover involving WWE today?
Yeah, absolutely. We're supposed to be covering WWE
The
Evolution.
pay per review view. All right, so yes, it's
What's many considered to be one of their best of the year.
one of the most quality non NXT takeover pay per views.
Yes.
And I say that even above WWE Royal Rumble 2018, which itself was excellent.
Yes. However, the reason why we say it's higher than that is because the Royal Rumble itself mostly focused on the Royal Rumbles themselves.
Exactly.
The matches other than those were not best quality.
Right. Nakamura winning the men's Royal Rumble,
And Asuka winning.
Previously undefeated Asuka winning the women's Royal Rumble, creating all that intrigue. Which champion was she going to challenge at WrestleMania? Then you had the debut of Ronda Rousey, so it was huge. There was a whole lot of intrigue coming out of the Royal Rumble. But here, the thing was, one of the keys to this, one of the key factors was that a lot of people, everyone, including myself, including you, everyone was underestimating WWE Evolution.
The show itself was underhyped. It was, most of the matches didn't have much of a story going into it, with few exceptions.
Because people thought it was just a handout because the women weren't allowed to go over to Saudi earlier in the year. They thought, okay, they're just giving the women a token handout right here, all women's pay-per-view.
But what we failed to do was, anticipate that the women would say, "You're going to give us this little scrap. We're going to turn this into an amazing performance."
Exactly. You're going to give us burnt toast. We're going to turn it into a five-star buffet. So they did exactly that. I mean, it was knock away from. I mean, the production values alone for the pay-per-view were amazing. The fact is, a lot of people don't know this. The NXT production team was in charge of running the pay-per-view of setting up the pay-per-view that night. That's why you saw not a whole lot of backstage lighting. No audience lighting. Just focusing on the ring, on the in-ring action, kind of cutting the middleman out, cutting the crowd out of it. They could still be involved, but kind of cut down on the annoying crowd chants.
True.
The self-aggrandizing.
Although to be fair, the crowd was really good for this show.
Oh no, I mean it was a largely female crowd. And no surprise, first ever women's pay-per-view. Yeah. No shock there. And I mean, it's just all in all, it was a great atmosphere. Like I said, great production values, and the matches themselves were good to great. I mean,
there was no real bad match.
There was
the closest thing is the first match, and even that, it was still good with liberties due to ring rust.
Exactly. We're talking about, of course, the ring vets, Team Bestie, Trish Stratus and Lita taking on Team Blissful's crew of Alicia Fox and Mickie James. Now, literally, like we said, Alexa was supposed to be in this match because of an injury. She had to be removed, and it was replaced by Alicia Fox. Now, despite our misgivings about Alicia's role and how well she doesn't perform,
with one exception, she was very good with this match.
She was fine. She was tolerable. She was fine with this match.
Mickie was the star.
I mean, Mickie was the star. I mean, we had lots of fun face-offs with Mickie and Lita and Mickie and Trish. A
lot of history between those three.
Shades of 2006. What I liked was the commentary. Okay, it wasn't over the top. It wasn't outlandish. They were building up the fact the history between three of the four women involved in the match. It was. I think commentary was also very decent this time. The fact that you had Beth Phoenix and Renee Young, along with Michael Cole.
Okay. You have to make sure that it stays in canon with character, I guess. But to be fair, it was nice.
Michael Cole, Michelle Cole.
Michelle Cole, fine. To be fair, it was nice not having Corey Graves. His commentary lately has been a little lackluster.
I'm sorry. It's just been like he's been antagonizing for the sake of being antagonizing.
Yeah.
That's not really a good heel commentator. Heel commentator knows to stay neutral most of the time and pop up at a prime opportunity.
So Beth Phoenix, who already has been covering the Mae Young Classic, is a good fit because she's already had enough practice, so she knows what she needs to say. So it was a nice commentating booth.
It was. So getting back to the match, all right, we saw basically it was the greatest hits from Trish and Lita. We had Lita, the Lita Canrana, the Lita Salt, the Twist of Fate, Trish Stratus with the Louise Thez press, the Stratosphere, Stratisfaction, the Chick Kick. I mean, we saw all the best hits, and they ended up picking up a win. And what was an
Chick Kick was the winning move.
We even saw a little retro Hardys action with the poetry in motion. I thought that was a nice little call out right there. So I mean, Trish and Lita pick up the win, set the crowd off on what was going to be ultimately a good night. All right,
and remember, we're talking like good stuff about this match. This is the kind of the weakest match on the card.
This is kind of the low point because, like you said, you have to take ring rust into account. Clearly, Lita and Trish
and Alicia did miss a cue with breaking up a pin. The ref did have to stop the 3 count to let Alicia get there.
Very true, but for the most part, it was a fun match. People were having a great time. Really good way to kick off the show. So that brings us to the Battle Royal.
Yes,
the Women's Battle Royal. Over 20 different female superstars, past and present, and even the legendary Alundra Blaze making a return. And
Alundra Blaze. We think that the standout was Carmella and Ivory's dance break.
And I'll tell you this, Blaze never looked more on fire
Considering her outfit, yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, I mean there were many highlights. I mean there was Nia Jax and Tamina just slinging people,
Yeah,
slinging
they
everyone
did
around.
they did a homage to Roman first.
Right, exactly, which I liked.
The Iconics, being the only ones with mic time, so they were the first eliminated.
Antagonizing everyone and getting the old heave ho, and I mean yeah, and then you had the dance off with Ivory and Carmella, which was hilarious. Which
I mean, it's not in character with Ivory, considering what she was when she was in the WWF.
I mean, considering how goofy her post right to censor phase was, I'm not really surprised. Ivory, I'm sorry. Ivory's got some moves.
She does.
She can go.
She did very well on that.
And I mean, she made it to the final four. Let it be said like that. She was the only veteran to make it to the final four.
All of us, considering the fact, all of us, we both had Asuka and Ember. They were both far into they were near the end. Asuka, everybody had Asuka,
Right.
and we had Ember. James had Selena Vega, who was the third person there,
who tried to toss out
Ember and Asuka
and Nia. That didn't work.
And the winner, Allison, is the only one who picked her, Nia Jax.
Nia Jax.
Seriously, if not Braun, then Nia for her.
Well, I mean, Nia's basically like she's in the Big Show role for as far as the women's division goes. She's the big mountain that all the other women have to climb and try and knock off. And I mean, look, her first battle royal, boom, like her first premier battle royal, here at Evolution, and she wins. So I mean, she's been in battle royals before.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble. And I mean, she made a good impression there.
Oh, absolutely.
And even more so here, considering she actually won it.
Yes.
So now she has a title opportunity for either the SmackDown Women's Championship or the Raw Women's Championship. Now, considering that she has unfinished business concerning the Raw Women's Championship, you would think she'd be more inclined to go after that. However, I mean, the SmackDown Women's Championship,
it's probably going to be easier. I mean, I think she's going to probably stick with Raw just because she doesn't want to be seen as a quitter.
I mean, exactly. Go with the devil you know rather than go with the devil you don't know.
Not to mention the match did end inconclusively, despite the fact Ronda did have her, dead to rights.
Right, and considering that Becky has been a virtual she-devil over on the SmackDown side, maybe it's best that Nia stay on the Raw side, because I mean, when we come to the last woman standing match, Becky and Charlotte will have torn it up. But that comes
later.
Okay, now we come to the NXT Women's Champion. Actually,
no, that was the 6-woman tag.
The 6-woman tag team match. I'm mistaken.
Yes,
the 6-woman tag team match. We had the Boston Hug Connection and Natalia versus all Squad. 3 members of the Riot Squad.
Dressed up for Halloween.
Dressed up for Halloween, of course.
Yeah, we had Saw. We had some Pennywise.
Oh, some nice spooky references.
It was apparently a Pennywise reference for both Liv and Ruby, and Sarah was her Viking self. So War Raiders.
So I mean, like we said, they're not causing chaos, whether in costume or backstage. All right, so we come to the 6-woman tag team match.
Do we have the picture for the tag team match? So while waiting for that picture to come.
While waiting for the picture to come up. Okay.
So this is a match we've seen over and over again in terms of Sasha and Bayley and the Riot Squad. It happens over and over again, Raw after Raw after Raw. And this was their best outing, I'd say.
I'd say so, because, I mean, they gave them more time. They gave them, 12, 13 minutes.
Yep.
And, I mean, it was a much better played-out match. I mean, essentially, Sasha and Bayley at times were playing the face of Pearl. Sasha took a big beating in this match.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Sasha's selling is probably the best out of all of them there, so it doesn't.
I'd say she's almost like the female Dolph Ziggler.
And this situation, yeah.
Basically, she knows how to look like a sack of potatoes. She knows how to sell like one too. I mean, she just so many times. I mean, you saw some excellent tag team work.
Oh, the Riot Squad were better tag team here than I've ever seen them be before. Constant tagging in, constantly making sure that if someone's about to get hurt, they're not the legal one.
I mean, maybe it's too soon to say, but I would almost say they're almost up there with like the New Day and the Shield.
I would say the Shield specifically, because they're so good at the tagging in.
Exactly, and like the chemistry, the tactics, the subtle distractions.
Maybe even the bar.
I'd say so, I'd say a lot. They've taken inspiration from a lot of different teams: the Bar, the Revival, the New Day, the Shield. I mean, good strong tag tactics. That's what I like to see, and the Riot Squad definitely.
And obviously, we know
shows
that
that.
Ruby's good, and we know Sarah Logan. But Liv Morgan really stepped it up for this, I feel.
I thought so too. I thought this was a great showing for Liv. We saw a lot more varied offense out of her. We saw a lot more tenacity. I mean, we saw kind of more of a vicious side to Liv that maybe we don't see as often as we would like.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, the ending comes. Natalia manages to make the tag.
Let's but before that, let's not forget the two main segments, which is one where Ruby is going to attack Sasha from the top turnbuckle to prone Sasha, and Bayley shields her with her body.
When she was going to go for a and shields her from the senton. Mm-hmm. So I mean, Bayley takes the bullet for Sasha, kind of just playing up their friendship again, and I mean. Don't get me wrong, it was a good segment. I mean, it was a good part of the match. I mean, but...
If you think about it logistically,
Logistically, Sasha's still taking more damage than Bayley is because the shot
now there's a
goes
person
through
on
Bayley
top,
so
it's weight as well as impact.
It's weight, impact, and gravity. So I'm sorry. Okay, but I mean, it's just... You gotta look at the logics of it. Come on.
The other segment was Natalya and her double sharpshooter.
Which
this also works well with what we were talking about the Riot Squad. They made sure that the two people in the sharpshooter were not the legal woman.
That actually worked. That actually worked too. That logic worked that time.
Mm-hmm.
Made sure that Ruby was the one. So was it Ruby the legal?
I think Liv was the one who wasn't in there.
Oh yeah, Liv was the legal woman.
Yeah.
Ruby and
Sarah were both stuck in the double sharpshooter, and
then I mean Liv ended up falling to basically a triple team. Power bomb.
All for the ones that those women idolize. You have Natalya with her father's power bomb.
Exactly.
You have Bayley with the macho elbow.
And then you have
Sasha with the Eddie Frog Splash.
The Guerrero Frog Splash. So 1, 2, 3. So again, nice callbacks like they're legendary figures, inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a nice touch.
It's nice to see that it's in a way saying that the legacy of these men are carried on through the women.
There you go. I think that's a perfect way to put it. I honestly could not have said it better myself.
Yeah.
All right. So
after that, we do have the finals for the Mae Young Classic
for the second annual Mae Young Classic. Came down to Toni Storm
versus Io Shirai. Io Shirai. Both work. And so, the ending of the Mae Young Classic. So, while we're waiting for that picture to come up, this was the only real reason that this was disappointing for most was the fact that this felt cut short.
It felt cut short, not to mention the fact that, technically speaking, when you look at how the matches went, building up to it. Now, I'm trying to remember for the life of me who Io Shirai faced in the semifinals.
I couldn't tell you offhand.
All right. Well, actually, all right. So, I mean, while we are waiting on...
Yeah, do we have the picture for Io Shirai versus Toni Storm? So, in the meantime, it was a brisk, 10-minute match, I'd say?
I'd say so. It was a 10-minute match. It really didn't feel like a finals. I mean, it was
Io's quick maneuverability and high flying ability versus Toni Storm's power and technique.
It was, and I mean we saw examples of that. We saw Shirai taking to the air, taking out Toni with a crossbody to the outside, to ringside.
Crossbody to the outside.
We saw Toni laying out Shirai with a German suplex on the ring.
Oh, that one was bad. That one was bad.
That was crazy.
I remember the springboard dropkick onto Toni Storm off of the top turnbuckle, and then the moonsault into her.
It was unbelievable. I mean,
not to mention it ended with another attempt at a moonsault, but this time Toni got her knees up, and then led to what was it called again? The Storm Zero.
The Storm Zero, the Tiger Driver.
Yes.
And I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean,
we wish that it had gone longer because that was how good the match was between the two of them.
It was. It really was. I mean, for what it was an amazing match. Mm-hmm. I mean, just give it a couple more minutes, and I felt like it could have been the show show stealer of the night.
Probably would have.
All right. So sorry.
Yeah, we're just double checking. Can we get the picture for Io Shirai versus Toni Storm?
All right. So let me see.
Rhea Ripley.
No, Tegan Knox.
Oh, Tegan Knox.
So, I mean, the tragic aspect.
Wait, didn't Tegan get hurt and that's why Rhea had to replace her?
Exactly, because that's what I was trying to get to before, was that Tegan Knox was, I mean, here's the thing, was originally scheduled to go the distance in the Mae Young Classic, to make it to the finals against Toni Storm, only came up short because of a knee injury, which she injured last year.
Oh, that's right.
And then she was going to come back. She was going to storm her way, pun not intended, to the finals.
And Tony still probably would have won though. I think they were pushing her for that.
I mean, they were also keen on Tegan Knox until the injury came up, and I just thought it was a horrible break for her, because she could have gone so much further than she
well,
did.
considering the fact that Io was also supposed to be in the first Mae Young Classic, and she also had to skip out because of injury as well.
Right. So I mean, you had a lot of comeback stories here, and unfortunately, Tegan's got cut short, which is the sad part.
Yeah.
All right. So
moving on from that
to the NXT.
Yes,
The
that
NXT.
is Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler.
Right.
Nick, do we have the picture for Kairi versus Shayna? All right. Well,
All right.
we are still waiting for the picture for that. So in the meantime, we'll talk about the match. I mean, this one was really good.
It was. I'd say it was just a step above their takeover match. I mean,
The one where Kairi got the fluke pin while she was in the submission position.
It was. And I mean, they even had a callback to that.
Yes.
Like close to the end of the match. What I felt like actually kind of took away from it though was Shayna's friends, Shayna's 4 horsewoman crew,
Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir.
Marina Shafir, getting involved in the match near the end.
Yeah.
Especially considering, I mean, when I watch the replay, I can see that the ref, as she's going to say, okay, it was a 2 count, then Jessamine gets the quick shot in. So they didn't do it so blatantly, like that the ref had to just ignore it. They picked it. I mean, it was split second time, which I think is actually very impressive, considering that usually you have to really set up stage.
The only time
the
ref ever saw anything was Marina just getting in the way, but never laying a
exactly,
hand on Kairi.
or saying getting tossed into them. I
Yeah.
mean, other than that, I mean, it's just like, I mean, they actually pulled it off quite well. I still felt like it kind of took away from it though, because I mean, if you're
Near the end, yeah, because by that point, then you realize that we knew who was going to win the moment that happened. It wasn't a surprise near the end.
Right.
But up to that point, Shayna with great joint manipulation and being just absolutely brutal with that arm.
As always, I mean, she just picked Sane apart.
And Kairi solely crazy for her, especially when she lifted her off the ground from the second turnbuckle via her arm. Like that, she looked like she would lose her arm at that point. But Kairi basically fighting with one arm.
She was. I mean, and she put up a valiant fight. I mean, I think lasted longer in the Karafuda clutch than I think anyone would have, but eventually just passed out. And I mean, that's a little something I've never quite done, is that when they had a submission and someone passed out, you used to do the old, the 1, 2, 3, and
they've gone to the 1 now.
They've gone to just the 1. They just hold it up, and if they're out, like I mean, I don't really get that. I mean, honestly, I think
they're trying to go for a more, I guess they'd say realistic.
Realistic, but I'm just saying, if you want to like build up drama with a submission, then like you want like okay, 1, okay, 2, oh my God, are they going to kick out? Are they going to wake up? And then okay, there you go. If you just do the 1 count, then it's like kind of it's. I mean, I know it's realistic, but it's also kind of deflating. Like it's just like, okay, they just went to sleep like that without really much of a fight. I mean, yeah, we saw her struggling, but I mean,
and the only other way I could see it is they're saying they don't want to risk their wrestlers by cutting off circulation to the brain for too long.
I mean,
but that's the realistic approach. But we're not dumb as to know that you know, they're not putting all the pressure that they could on these holds.
Right.
We know that they're safe in them.
Right. If like okay, let me bring up an example. Going back to 2004, WrestleMania 20, triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H, Benoit, Michaels. Benoit has Triple H in the crippler crossface. At one point, okay, Triple H has already been busted open. He's bleeding. He's about to pass out from the lack of blood. And like from being locked in submission for so long, he fades. Like they do 1, 2, and then boom. He manages to stay up. Like okay, he's struggling. He doesn't, and then taps out. See, there you go. If they had just done that, like if I feel like if they done 1, 2, okay, she refuses to submit, but ultimately passes out. Then okay, there you go. It shows how much of a fighter Sane is. And, okay, it also puts over just how devastating the Karafuda clutch is, that even if you manage to, like, survive it initially, that if it continues to lock in, you're done.
Definitely makes sense on that one. So, yeah, in the end, interference from Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir, which are now going to be on the NXT proper.
Most likely. They have been on the house circuit, but
Yep.
now they're going to be on the proper show. Not this week, but hopefully next week. And it's good because now we have like a true blue female faction in NXT. I mean, aside from I think
Well, we've had like tag teams.
we've had tag
tons
teams,
of them. We
women's
had
tag
Iconics.
teams.
You
Yeah,
know,
we had the Iconics. We had the Summer Rae and Charlotte like the beautiful fierce females.
we did have Emma and Dana Brooke.
Emma and Dana Brooke. So and we even had Team Bay, Sasha and Becky for a brief time.
Yeah.
So we've had tag teams, but we've never had a true women's faction.
Yes.
One that could dominate the women's division in NXT, and now we do. Basically, you could even almost say, if it weren't for the fact there were 3 instead of 4, you could even say it was almost an equivalent to the Undisputed Era, a female equivalent.
Absolutely, and considering what the
considering
pedigree behind these 3.
Yeah, considering the array of talent you have in Shayna's group.
Yeah, so this could be a reason why you don't bring Shayna up. You just want to have her just be completely dominant via this. Maybe they're leading up to a feud between her and one of the other 2. In order for her to lose the belt.
I'd say so actually, just because. I mean, if this is the prelude to the 4 horsewomen of UFC and the 4 horsewomen of WWE, like colliding at most likely WrestleMania, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. They've been talking about it for months, if not a year or 2 now. I would love to see it happen.
Oh, I'd love to see it too. I think WrestleMania is going to be too soon, considering
Maybe
Duke
I mean
and Shafir.
WrestleMania, SummerSlam. I mean, sometime next year, I would love to see these 2 factions
Yes.
face off. All right. Well, clearly for that to happen, Becky would kind of have to flip sides. And
Yeah.
considering the last women's standing match we saw with her and Charlotte, that's not happening anytime soon.
So this was a show stealer. This match.
Do we have the Charlotte Becky photo? Can we bring that up? Going once.
Going twice.
And okay. Anyway, so Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, last woman standing, the second time ever in WWE. Michael Cole, second
First
time
time
ever
on the main roster, but second time in their history.
Second time in the history, not the first ever in history. First time on the main roster.
Yes.
Because the other one,
I feel bad enough for getting the Nikki Cross Asuka match.
that was a good one.
That was a good one.
All right. So no, okay. So last woman standing, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, SmackDown Women's Championship. I mean, Becky just started out just like dominating Charlotte. Like, I mean, kendo sticks, steel chairs, but then Charlotte started matching her. Like when Becky was tossing in steel chairs, Charlotte was tossing in steel chairs. You want to go violent? I'll go violent. You want to get vicious?
By that point, there had to have been at least like 15 chairs in there or something like that.
So you never try to out hot blood a Flair.
Very true.
You just don't.
Yeah. And Charlotte, not only did they just go in and then immediately start dropping each other on the pile, you had Charlotte bringing in the table and setting Becky up and hitting her with a moonsault and a senton until the table broke.
Exactly.
You know,
So she showed a level of determination we hadn't really normally see out of Charlotte. And even at one point when Becky had put her through an announce table, Charlotte wouldn't stay down. Buries her in steel chairs and announcers chairs and basically whatever plunder she could find. And Charlotte still managed to find her way up, and Becky was
Terrified.
terrified.
Yes.
She
was after-
she was done. She was ready to take her championship and walk out. She almost done it at one point before in the match.
Yes.
But still managed to get Charlotte down.
Yeah,
for
let's
a 9
see if I
count.
remember that correctly. Becky basically said, "I'm done with this." Tried leaving. Charlotte followed her into the crowd.
You can't leave during the last
Chops.
person standing.
I know. Chop after chop after chop. The top of Becky is getting all red. Then they go back, and then they set up the announce table where Charlotte chucked one of the LED screens into a fan.
Ooh, I did not see that part. Whoops.
Yep.
Ouch.
That was a bad wipe. And the other one refused to leave the table, so she's like, fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, stay there.
Yeah. And then what was supposed to be Charlotte going for a moonsault onto Becky through the table became Becky nailing Charlotte onto the table and doing a leg drop off the ladder through the announce table. Charlotte gets up. So Becky pushes her down, then buries her in all the stuff. Charlotte comes up with this look of
Rage,
rage,
content.
and
She's just utter malice, and I mean, and Becky was just like, "Okay, I'm out of here."
No, yeah. Michael Cole keeps saying whenever that look comes up, it's Becky must be thinking, "What do I have to do to win?" No, Becky was thinking, "Please, dear God, just go away.
Let me get out of here.
Yes.
Get me away from her, from the crazy Flair woman." Charlotte.
And it led to a spear.
Charlotte cuts her in half with a spear.
Kendo stick, spear.
Steel steps, spear, and then
Tries going for
some
the table.
Oh,
outside.
and then one other spot we missed was when she put a figure 8 on Becky.
Oh yeah, through the ladder.
Through the ladder.
The ladder that refused to fall.
It took some finagling, but she managed. Really wear down
nice,
Becky.
yeah.
My question is, why not just do like a ring post figure 4 since she wouldn't be,
True.
She could probably stand
Well,
up.
to be
if she wanted.
fair, she was tapping to that figure 8 through the ladder. Didn't matter. The ref accidentally kicked the chair closer to Becky, so Becky
Whoops.
Yeah, so Becky just just went straight into her with that chair.
All right, so the ending comes when Charlotte has Becky laid out on the table, ready to go through another moonsault, but then Becky goes up, manages to catch
Shades
Charlotte,
of her losing her title to Alexa Bliss.
power bombing Charlotte through a table.
And Charlotte still almost got up.
Almost got. I mean, that was the one suspect thing I found about the match was that she got further up. I mean, when she was emerging from the rubble, all she had to do was get to her knees, and the ref waved the count, which I found to be stupid. Because you have to get to your feet to get the count wave, not to your knees. Mm-hmm. All right, so she actually got. I mean, she was actually on one foot,
and one knee,
basically bent on like a downward dog yoga position. She was up further up, and the ref didn't wave the count, and they counted 10.
Yeah,
Becky wins, retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. I mean, kind of a suspect ending, but you know what? Fine. We got the
Becky
result.
was more vicious than Charlotte was.
Exactly.
She deserved the belt more for that.
Exactly. She got the win. Seems for the most part her feud with Charlotte is now over.
Mm-hmm.
So now what's in store for Becky? She goes from Charlotte to Ronda Rousey.
Ronda.
Exactly, because now you have Survivor Series. Of course, the only time Raw versus SmackDown competes head to head, excluding the Royal Rumble and Crown Jewel and the World Cup. Yeah, okay, totally. So Survivor Series, yeah, you're gonna have Intercontinental Champion versus U.S. Champion, Universal Champion versus WWE World Champion, and of course SmackDown Women's Champion versus Raw Women's Champion, which in this case is Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey because she beat Nikki Bella.
Surprise!
Surprise! And because you notice I still have all my hair. So yes,
Fair.
Spoiler alert. Ronda won.
Though not as fast as you thought it would be.
No, that was my disappointment. That was the tiebreaker for you, me, and Allison. Was that Allison was the only one who called that it was going to go a relatively lengthy match.
It went over 11 minutes. That was her call.
It was 14 minutes. I mean, of course, you had the Brie Bella shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that there'd be some other shenanigans, like Ronda's crew, including Shayna, here to back her up. Didn't happen, but okay, you know what? Ronda still won, including a very unique top rope armbar. Rope roll into the armbar.
That was the end of the match.
That was the end of the match.
She was like some kind of judo roll into the armbar.
Almost like a judo victory roll, almost. Like, and it ended up being a victory roll because I mean she ends up cinching in the armbar and boom, there you go, tap out. So now, okay, now the setup is Ron. So yep, okay. Oh, yep, big shock. Ronda won. Okay, we're not gonna spend that much time because Ronda won.
Yeah,
we knew Ronda was gonna win.
Brie and Nikki kept throwing her into this and that. Kept trying to use the two person advantage. Ronda ends up slamming both of them with her judo throw, then chucking Brie over the announcer table, and then went for the win.
There you go. There you go. Cut, and dry. All right. So now we look to Survivor Series.
Yes.
Because now we know what the setups are going to be. We know it's going to be Becky versus Ronda, SmackDown versus Raw. I mean, now we know. Okay, the U.S. champion Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be facing Seth Rollins, the Intercontinental champion, and I will say this. We promised not to cover a particular pay-per-view, but I did promise we'd announce the new Universal Champion would be, because the Universal Champion would face the WWE Champion at Survivor Series. It'll be AJ Styles, WWE World Champion, facing
in a rematch
Brock Lesnar.
It is an actual rematch from last year's Survivor Series.
Actual rematch from last year's Survivor Series. We are having Brock Lesnar, new Universal Champ, brand spanking new Universal Champion, versus WWE World Champion AJ Styles.
So that's already going to be interesting enough.
Not to mention, we already have the Women's Survivor Series match, SmackDown versus Raw, with the SmackDown team may or may not be captained by Charlotte Flair. We don't know. She was rather hesitant to accept the position this past Tuesday.
Fair, considering her loss.
Considering her recent losing streak.
Yes.
So, all right. So it will remain to be seen, just like, okay, who's going to be on the men's team for Raw and SmackDown? Who's going to be on the women's team for Raw and SmackDown? Will NXT perhaps have a presence going to this with their takeover match coming up on the Saturday, the night before Survivor Series? So it will be interesting to see just what goes down here. Okay, I mean, what's to be say for the winner of the WWE World Cup? Who knows? Who knows who could have won? Not like I know, right?
I have no idea.
No idea. No clue.
So, but luckily for us, World Cup's non-canon. Crown Jewel Fest is non-canon.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter one darn bit.
Yep.
All right. So next week, I mean, what are we gonna do next week? I mean, because we got 2 weeks until the 3rd annual Bedford TV Volunteer Awards, and of course, one of the awards we are up for is of course the Viewer's Choice Award.
Yes.
Something I'm very proud to have. And while we also remind everyone to be connected, get connected, and stay connected,
how about this time we also make a connection?
we make the connection. Make the vote. Make the connection. Vote Wrestling Connection for Bedford TV's 2018 Viewer's Choice Award.
So. I think he was saying it was upside down.
Oh, upside down. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Just put it in the blooper reel.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's full enough already. You can make room. Okay, there we go.
All right.
Okay, get it all in.
So, like you said, Viewer's Choice is coming up really soon. And then after that, I mean, we do have things we could talk about. We can always do highs and lows. I still have a promo I have to get out of the wings.
Delivered to James. I mean, so we're going to have a lot.
Which stinks now that I'm not the champion. It would have made that way easier. But now I'm going to have to rework that.
So we're going to have a lot coming up in the next few weeks. Not only do we have, like I said, the Bedford TV Awards, we got Survivor Series coming up in a few weeks. The annual WWE Thanksgiving tradition that doesn't involve stuffing your face.
Or gobbledygookers.
If God willing. Don't jinx it there, because that just means we could see gobbledygookers show up in the next couple of weeks. I would not put it past them. All right.
Wow, look at that traditional gobbledygooker. Wait, why is he attacking the champ? Oh my God, it's Braun Strowman. He's in disguise.
That's a big turkey, all right. All right. So anyway, like I said, we're gonna have a lot coming up in the next few weeks. But in the meantime, we hope everyone had a safe and happy Halloween. We hope all the kids got plenty of processed sugar, and by now they're probably still bouncing off the walls.
I'm going to say this. I have seen it. Natalia, when it comes to Halloween, do not feed children broccoli. She actually left a bowl out saying, take one, please.
Oh, God.
So you just know not to go to Natalia's house for that.
All right, don't go into like, kids, remember, don't eat veggies, eat candy.
It's healthy for your heart.
This PSA brought to you by the Wrestling Connection. Please remember to eat your veggies. All right, and remember, as always, for Dan Kaufman, I am Ken Hill. Remind you, as always, to be connected.
Get connected.
Stay connected. Play us out, Kermit.
I've heard it too many
Times
To ignore it.
It's some things that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it. The Wrestling Connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and me. La, da, da, da,